Okay guys, welcome back to the channel. Apologize, I'm a little congested today. I might have to even have a few coughs. I usually don't edit anything in my videos, but maybe I'll edit out a few coughs this time. But anyway, we're in a little swag today. A Cora swag. I got this at a show, probably the home entertainment show back in last June. Oh, but from this past show in Florida, Mikey gave me, actually this is my second Mikey shirt. He gave me a large or maybe a medium a few years ago at Expona. And you know, I've been working out at the gym, and one time I just was flexing with that shirt on, and I was like the Hulk. It just ripped. No, it was, I still have it. But this extra large fits me even better. So I guess I'm getting too buff, man. Do y'all notice at all? Probably not. Anyway. Oh, got some other swag from the Florida Audio Show I haven't shown you. On top of, remember the M101 phone holder. Mike Sweck with Unique Home Audio. He had the room with the Bach and the Dutch and Dutch 8 TC speakers. He sent me this just as thanks for doing the after hours presentation and helping out set up the room. Really great guy. He is the authorized Florida dealer for Bach, so he can sell the Audio, Dio, and the Grand. And still, if you buy the Bach from Mac, you usually have to go through me and my website that's linked in the description. There's really nobody else that sells the Bach from Mac nationwide. And I can help you nationwide, but if you went to his room at Tampa, let me know if you're ordering it. And certainly if you're from Florida, you should work with him directly. But I will reciprocate for him what I do for my customers for the Bach. If you buy it from him or me, I will give you access to my WhatsApp group, which is probably the biggest in the world for Bach users. And lots of experts, including Edgar, is in it. So definitely a big perk on top of the daily interactions, advice, recordings that we share. Lots of fun on top of all the other stuff we do as well. But anyway, wanted to get into a follow-up of my prior video on DSP and the ORC, and just talk about some of the common FAQs I get. This isn't meant to be a digital versus analog debate. I had the title of to DSP or not DSP, that is the question, and here's the answer. It's more about, I'm a live and let live guy. You know, this is not, again, vinyl versus digital. That's a separate debate, and I showcase some of the best vinyl rigs, pure vinyl rigs on the planet. The Acapella Spheron, the one in Beverly Hills, Rick Brown, and then JR. Yeah, I definitely understand people that like analog and like turntables and vinyl and all that. This is a separate argument, though, because a lot of people that have mega dollar turntables now are running their turntable, believe it or not, through the Bach. They are doing an ADC conversion because there is no trade-off, or whatever trade-off is perceived is not enough for the benefits you get of using Bach. And this is before using ORC. And so what I wanted to do was address the common things I see online. There's always going to be a few trolls that are haters and, you know, want to tell you that DSP and EQ is bad. And, you know, I'm not going to convince those people, but I am going to showcase where some of their arguments are very low IQ based dogmas that really aren't applicable. But on the flip side, I'm going to give credit to some people that do have open minds, that I think some people legitimately have had bad experiences with products that weren't as good as the Bach, weren't as good at frequency response or obviously time domain. And if you didn't spend a whole lot of time nuancing some of these products, I can easily see where people would have a bad experience. Now, should you be a little more less lazy and learn how to use it properly versus just poo-pooing it? Yeah, but I'm not going to beat up people for that. What I really want to do is just tackle the troll type arguments against DSP and EQ. And really, they're two different things, because EQ could be analog EQ or digital EQ. So let's talk about that first, because this is pretty amazing to me that people are still against EQ. I mean, forget about the fact that almost every recording you listen to has some level of EQ. The professionals that master these recordings are using EQ. Forget about that, okay? Let's pretend that you live in this world where you don't listen to that or you don't care. Somehow you've found a way in your head to petition the recording can be EQ, but not in your room. But let me tell you, let's go another step further. This is going to be a little bit even harder for you to deny. A volume control, guys, is EQ. Okay? Let me repeat that again. If you use your volume control, you are using EQ. It's just a primitive EQ. It's changing the volume of everything, but it's trying to adjust. You're adjusting the volume of what you're hearing to your taste. And we talked about this in my videos. I even had an AI video about fawns and how at different volume levels, different frequencies will be perceived louder. Okay? And so that's what you do with your volume control. So if you use a volume control, you're using EQ. So this argument, I don't use EQ, I don't believe in EQ. Yeah, you do. And guess what? You use a very primitive form of it instead of a more sophisticated form that admittedly it sometimes requires a little more skill set. But the payoff is huge. I mean, the payoff is immense when you can get super tailored to your taste, not just in the ballpark of volume. You could get it tailored to your ears. And now, with the Bach, to what goes in your ear. I mean, in the digital realm. I mean, but let's just stick with the EQ argument in general right now. So even in the analog domain, guys, you use an old-fashioned EQ or you use a digital EQ, it doesn't matter. It's just another form of adjusting the volume and the frequency responses. Now, EQ can now involve DSP, which also includes time domain things, crosstalk cancellation, and even these more sophisticated algorithms to address ear pinna, your head, and your torso. And that's what we have now. And so, admittedly, in the past, a lot of these DSP software could have resulted in poor results if you didn't use it properly. You took poor measurements. You didn't massage things. You added too much gain. Your room was already so bad that you couldn't DSP your way out of certain things. Certain softwares had limitations that you had to know those, and it took a lot of time to digest them and adjust for them to make it optimal for what was prior optimal. Now we have optimal room correction with the Bach ORC that goes to a whole nother level. But let's talk about DSP versus non-DSP, okay? And forget about the Bach for a second. Here's what I don't understand when people say, oh, I don't like DSP. Well, do you use a DAC? I mean, a DAC has digital processing, okay? And in fact, you buy a cord DAC versus a DCS DAC, you're going to have different filters. You buy HQ Player or some of these DACs will give you a choice of which filter you want to use. So why is it okay, you're okay buying these products that have different filters and different philosophies of DSP in them, but very primitive, only can do certain brick wall type minimum phase, linear phase? Those are very tough to even hear the difference and very tough to even measure a big difference that humans can audibly, but you're okay with that. But yet when you're given DSP that can totally correct for whatever objective standard you want or whatever subjective what you hear, then all of a sudden, no, that's the bad type of DSP. It makes no sense, guys. If you're using a DAC, you're already doing DSP. If you're listening to music, you're listening to EQ and DSP most likely. You know, these are very low IQ arguments, and usually they're just knee-jerk by trolls or people that haven't thought it through, or like I said, had a bad experience and just want to attribute it to maybe not them learning and want to just say the technology is bad. And I get it. I mean, you know, we all come from sometimes not wanting to blame ourselves. So I get it, but let's not go overboard, and let's be a little bit higher IQ and realize things change, the technology has changed, and with the ORC now, you are getting in-ear measurements that never been done before. And you're giving some things that prevent some of the problems that happened before with too much gain, too much overcorrection. Really what I wanted to focus on that I didn't focus on as much in that last video was that why do we care about the ear pinna and adjusting for the head and torso effect? Because in real life, guess what? We're getting frequencies like that. So when you see that weird frequency response target when it gets over the 1K, that's how we hear in real life. You will have the same anomalies that I have. And so you don't want to correct too much for it. But here's the deal. Two speakers shouting at you is a lot different than whatever sound you're hearing in real life, whether it's a piano in one part of the room, an animal attacking you. You know, this is why certain frequencies are exaggerated in our ears for evolution purposes, for danger. All these kind of things are part of why we have accentuation of certain frequencies, and maybe in other areas don't care about frequency. It diminishes the response to those frequencies. What you need to do, though, is understand the difference between two speakers shouting directly at this ear pinna versus in real life, it's coming at you in a more omnidirectional way, such that part of the secret sauce that Edgar has figured out is how to fix that shouty aspect of the speakers and just slightly adjust for ear pinna instead of trying to get flat, slightly adjust such that it sounds more real to us in real life if we were listening to a piano in real life coming from a more omnidirectional source point versus two speakers shouting, drivers shouting right at us. So it's much more complex than, you know, this is the layperson, and I'm going to have a Zoom with Edgar where we go into that detail and part of the secret sauce. But this is another level of DSP, and why whatever arguments you've had in the past for EQ, analog or digital, or DSP, I'm trying to show in this video a lot of those may be warranted in the past, maybe based in some of your own laziness or your own primitive, you know, limited experience. Be self-aware, you know, think about that, see if there's it resonates with you, if you're honest with yourself, and then have you tried this yet? Okay? And I encourage you, if you can come out to Expona, come to my house, it will be so easy, guys. I mean, literally, you will be able to play the frequency sweep of your native room and then play it after the correction. You won't even have to listen to music. You will know just from that frequency sweep how much smoother it sounds, how much natural it sounds, and then that'll translate to music really easy. But there is one argument I wanted to address that really kind of gets under my skin. You know, I understand where it's coming from. It's called the I'm the purist. I don't believe in DSP. I'm the purist. Well, I've already talked about in the recording there's DSP and EQ. There's DACs that have that. But here's another thing, guys. What you're listening to right now, I guarantee you, is nowhere near as good as what I showed in that prior video, what's going into my ears. From any objective measurement standpoint you want to use, flat, no deviations in the bass hardly at all, I guarantee you on objective metrics, you're not going to beat that. But even subjective, we could take 100 people and you really, you know, unless somebody likes really bloated bass, you know, or something really anomalous, 100 out of 100, your grandmother, your great-grandmother, your kids, they will be able to hear easily the difference that ORC makes in almost any person's room, any person's ears, because it's that drastic. And like I said, you can join the membership group. You can talk to the beta testers that are all on it right now. And what's great is that you can further, you know, maybe sometimes in life you're not going to be 100% objective metrics. You're not going to go for that. And you're not going to go 100% subjective. But that's where you discern the high IQ audiophiles from the low one. They will just knee-jerk say, if they don't get it perfect this way, objective measurements, flat, doesn't work for them, then they'll say, well, measurements don't matter. No, measurements matter, but you just have to identify where maybe you're more sensitive in certain frequencies. You may have hearing loss, so you need more, or you may be more sensitive than others. So certain curves, like the Olive curve, Sean Olive, a Harmon curve, a Katz curve, Bob Katz, David Chesky, they are based in science, based in objective parameters of what's high fidelity, but then showing some nuances that could be more to your taste and different volume levels. Again, at different volume levels, different frequencies will be more pronounced. So if you listen at a high volume, you may want the Sean Olive curve, or vice versa, the Bob Katz, or a certain type of music. You may find one curve better than the other. It's more about digesting now, okay, I'm in the ballpark of objective metrics that are high fidelity, can't be argued with, they're really good, but what kind of small nuances? And even my settings in the Bach ORC that you saw were slightly different than the defaults. And that's why he puts all those options there, because it's really about tailoring it to your ears, your taste subjectively, but also having those objective metrics that are inarguable, okay? If you like bloated bass, you like whatever weird anomalies you have uncorrected, totally fine. You do you. You're not hurting me with those preferences. But don't go telling people that that's pure. That's the furthest thing from purity. What's purity is getting close to these objective metrics that are established in science and, can be proven on a subjective level as well. Because a lot of Sean Oliver's work and all of these guys has been based on both. So again, this is more about tutoring you guys in terms of addressing the haters, the trolls, the primitive dogmas, and the low IQ arguments against DSP. Try it. I guarantee you, I can't imagine anybody not liking this. So hit me up if you want to come out to Houston. I might have an option to bring it to the Dallas show. I'm talking to Carl with 3MA. They might have a room at Dallas. Might bring one. I don't know. I hate to even mention that at this point, but potentially. But definitely Expona, you're going to want to schedule a demo with me if you haven't already so that you can hear it before hours, after hours. That's the best way to do it. Or feel free to order it. You get a 14-day free trial. No questions asked if you don't like it. But it's hard to imagine after 14 days, probably after the first hour with Edgar, you're going to hear the difference very easily and love it. So feel free to reach out to me if you're interested in ordering that. Again, there's a March 3rd deadline. So I don't know when I'm going to release this. It may be close to that deadline or maybe even past, but hit me up if you can, and I'll be happy to help you. All right, guys. See you back here soon.